226 miles east of French Guiana, there exists a massive lab on a forbidden island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean named Île Saint-Hubert. The scientists have managed to create a group of transgenic, mutated dinosaurs, but unfortunately, on this particular day, a piece of contaminated material penetrates the ventilation system, causing an error that eventually leads to a lockdown and evacuation. While trying to escape, a scientist gets trapped inside a lab, rendering him helpless before a distorted six-limbed pterosaur. In the present day, it's been 32 years since dinosaurs returned, but the modern climate and disease have taken their toll, and public interest has waned. Most surviving species now only thrive in a tropical band around the equator, where human travel is expressly forbidden. Zora, a covert operative, is tracked down by Martin Krebs, the head of a pharmaceutical company. He tries to convince her to go on a trip to retrieve blood samples of the remaining dinosaurs, as it is believed that the biomaterials of the creatures can actually cure coronary heart disease. Martin takes Zora to see Dr. Henry Loomis, the leader of the team he is setting up. Together, they travel to Paramaribo, Suriname, 402 miles north of the equator, where they find Duncan Kincaid, who turns down their proposal. But after Zora talks him into the potential benefits of going on the trip, especially with the large sum involved, Duncan agrees, and they immediately set sail to Île Saint-Hubert to grab the blood samples.
That's it, right there. Make no mistake, this is by no means a controlled environment. So let's just get our samples and go home.
47 miles due south, the Delgado family are seen attempting to cross the Atlantic. They are accompanied by Xavier, Teresa's boyfriend. A couple of minutes later, their boat is hit by a gigantic sea creature, which knocks them off the vessel. While Teresa and Isabella struggle to board the capsized boat, Xavier struggles to get hold of the radio and emergency bag. He almost drowns, but catches a glimpse of the creature underneath the ocean. When he resurfaces, he makes a run for his life before the creature almost catches him. By morning, the Delgados send out a message for help, which Duncan hears and informs other crew members that the call came from 28 miles away in the opposite direction from where they came. With 3 minutes away from the island, the group make a turn to rescue the distressed family. When they board the boat, they describe the monstrous creature they had encountered, and Dr. Henry seems to know a lot more about it. A mile after rescuing the Delgados, the creature is spotted tracking the boat again, and this time, the group are excited to have found one of the prehistoric creatures they came out looking for. Zora prepares to shoot a tube which is designed to extract blood samples and eject the container with a mini parachute to prevent it from breaking on impact. While Duncan sails the boat, Zora takes a precise shot at the creature, and they are able to obtain the sample from their first dinosaur known as a Mosasaurus. Moments later, Teresa identifies a group of creatures similar to the one that attacked them, heading towards their direction. These creatures are known as Spinosaurus, and they have come out for a group hunt. Along with the Mosasaurus, the Spinosaurus attacks the boat, and Bobby is eaten by one of them. Isabella is almost eaten but is rescued by Ruben, her dad. Duncan steers the boat towards shallow waters to escape the creatures. Ruben instructs Teresa to send a mayday message, but Martin interrupts her and pushes Teresa nearly off the ship. She screams for help, but Martin ignores her as she slips and falls, but then Xavier goes after her. Ruben and Isabella equally get off the boat, anticipating early enough that it will crash into the rocks ahead. The Mosasaurus rams the boat in a bid to capsize it so it can feed on the humans. Duncan informs the team to abandon the ship as he crashes the boat on the shore. Teresa tells Xavier that Martin deliberately let her fall. The Delgado family are safe and reunited, but separated from the expedition team, who also managed to make it to the island but are faced with a Spinosaurus which devours Nina before they could get to her. While attempting to make it to a small village, they are greeted by a vast jungle, most likely filled with monsters. Martin informs the team that the island was a lab where experiments were conducted on. The scientists were creating crossbreeds of the creatures in response to what people wanted, like some sort of engineered entertainment. With 2 crew members dead, the group venture into the island in search of the creatures. While the expedition team seeks for higher grounds, Ruben suggests a break for the Delgados, but they ignore him. Zora questions Martin on how Teresa fell off the boat, but he lies to her. Then she threatens to abandon him on the island if she discovers otherwise. Meanwhile, the stranded Delgados encounter an Aqualops, which Isabella is terrified of at first. Martin finds a group of dead scientists in a helicopter hanging from a tree. While Xavier makes a fire, Ruben expresses his sincere appreciation for Xavier's act of bravery hours ago when he rescued Teresa. Xavier goes away to take a piss. And while Ruben and Teresa are asleep, the Aqualops finds Isabella again, and she makes it her pet animal. The expedition team successfully find a dinosaur called the Titanosaurus, probably the largest and less dangerous creatures on the island. It is truly a beautiful sight, which prompts Dr. Henry to get a closer look, eventually feeling the gigantic leg of the creature. Zora takes the shot, and the team is able to obtain the sample, after which they spot a large herd of the Titanosaurus. Isabella names the Aqualops Dolores, after which the group accidentally fall downhill into a different part where they spot a life raft just across a small river. Teresa makes a crossing to go get the raft while the rest look on. She finds a dead carcass fed on by a strange creature, and when she turns around, a giant T-Rex rolls over, and they are beyond terrified. Teresa manages to grab the raft and pull it open. She begins paddling towards her family, and as they board the raft, the T-Rex chases after them while they paddle faster on board the emergency raft. The gigantic creature knocks the raft, and they fall overboard, dragged by the wave where the T-Rex waits to devour them. Isabella is trapped underneath the raft, and unfortunately for her, the creature grabs the raft, but shockingly, she makes it across in time before the T-Rex grabs her. The raft resurfaces, and the group continue their journey. With one sample left to go, the expedition team prepare to infiltrate an egg belonging to a Quetzalcoatlus, which will ultimately end their expedition. Dr. Henry, who is terrified of heights, almost falls from the mountain, but makes it through alongside Zora into a cave inside the rock, where they find giant eggs belonging to the Quetzalcoatlus. Dr. Henry quickly extracts the sample without hurting the embryo, and proposes that the whole world should benefit from the healthcare benefits of their samples. While nailing a wedge to the rock, Leclerc inevitably draws the attention of the Quetzalcoatlus, which arrives inside the cave, immediately attacking the explorers, during which Dr. Henry loses the sample. While Leclerc distracts the creature for Henry and Zora to escape, he gets himself into trouble, and despite being pulled up by Duncan and Martin, he gets eaten alive by the voracious creature. Meanwhile, Dr. Henry falls off while retrieving the sample. The creature turns its attention to Duncan and Martin, who escape through a cave along with Zora. The team proceed to go home. Meanwhile, the Delgado family are still stranded, but eventually arrive at the research facility where they reunite with Zora's team. Teresa quickly vents her anger and exposes Martin for letting her fall from the boat, but Martin now has a gun. While Teresa loses her temper, he takes the sample from Zora and suggests they all wait until the helicopter arrives. Minutes later, the generator comes on, attracting the attention of a bunch of raptors and pterosaur hybrids which have all been mutated. The group takes shelter inside the facility, but they are far from being safe. Martin opens fire at the creature, and while Isabella grabs Dolores, a raptor gains access into the facility, causing Isabella to hide inside a freezer, terrified as hell. Ruben draws its attention away from his daughter and guides her towards the rest of the family. The determined creature discovers they escaped through a vent. Duncan finds a boat, and minutes later the helicopter is heard approaching fast. Martin boards a mini-truck and escapes the area while the raptor forces itself into a vent, going after the rest of the team. When the pilots are unable to find anyone, they turn around leaving the island, but then Dr. Henry shoots a flare, drawing their attention to his location. Unfortunately, the helicopter is taken down by a Distortus Rex. The group, excluding Zora and Martin, plot an escape from the creature using the boat found by Duncan. Meanwhile, Martin's truck discloses his location due to the loud siren on the vehicle. Zora catches up with the rest of the group as they make their way to the docks. They attempt to lift the back gate, Then Isabella slips through to unlock the gate. They are greeted by the Distortus Rex. Then, surprisingly, Martin runs into the creature, and while Duncan and Zora traps the raptor, Martin gets eaten by the Distortus Rex. While trying to unjam the speedboat, the giant monster reappears, and the brave Duncan draws its attention away from the group using a flare while daring the creature to come his way. Because of Duncan's bravery, the group are able to secure the boat, but Zora gets emotional after Duncan sacrifices himself. Moments later, Isabella spots a flare in the sky, and luckily, Duncan is rescued. The group sails back towards civilization, and Zora concurs with Dr. Henry that they will make the drug made out of the samples accessible to the whole world. This is Falcon Recaps. Thanks for watching.